Hey guys, what's going on? Finally back with another video. Filming a little different today. Got a new GoPro, see how that works out. We're going to be talking about just different types of wheels on the semi today. The one behind me is a bud slash stud piloted wheel, however you want to call it. But basically there's 10 lug nuts to hold the outside wheel, and then 10 lug nuts to hold the inside wheel. And I'll just kind of go into a little bit of detail, and then what happens if one breaks and how to get it off, and kind of go from there. And then we'll go over to a hub piloted wheel we got to do, show you that one, and then hopefully we'll be doing a Dayton slash spoke wheel as well. Alright guys, so the way to know that this is a stud piloted wheel or a bud wheel is you'll see the inner lug nut. It'll be square headed. It'll say R or L depending on which side of the truck or trailer it's on. So this is on the right side. This will have right hand thread. On the other side it'll be left hand thread. So you have the square inner lug nut, and then you'll have the outer lug nut on top of that, and then it's all attached to the stud on the hub. Alright, so we'll have the outer lug nut, which will be 1.5 inches. The inner lug nut will be a square 13/16 like this. Alright, as you can see, these are the studs from the hub. Then these inner lug nuts will go on over the stud, and then the wheel will go on over these studs, be secured by the outer lug nut. You're not supposed to put any anti-seize or any type of lubricant on these. Just make sure they're clean, wire brushed. Some people have trouble lining these studs up with the actual wheel, but basically what I do is I make sure that the bottom of the wheel is pushed all the way in. I'll take the bottom one, screw it on most of the way. I'll take my bar, make sure I lift it up, lift the tire up, and I'll set it kind of where it's wedged in with that bottom lug nut. The rest of these will be lined up. If not, you can kind of move the wheel while it stays there. So what I'll do now is just come and bump this first one, and then just kind of go in the pattern to tighten the rest of them. Sometimes these will crack. That's what you got to inspect them for. Make sure they're in good condition before you put it back on. Sometimes they will break in half, kind of like this is here. Here comes this tool that looks just like this. It has kind of like teeth in there, the stud extractor. You'll just use this tool to go over this. Just this stud, it won't be here, of course, but you hammer it on where it's on there tight. When you take it off, you can use your same 1.5 inch socket to unscrew it, take it off. Change these quite often. Another thing I want to show, sometimes you'll take that outside wheel off, and this lug nut will be stuck on the wheel. So basically, it'll be stuck to this inner lug nut, something like this, all the way. Don't tighten it up all the way, but it'll be like this. And the way you get that off is if you put your 1.5 inch lug socket on here, this whole thing is just going to spin. You'll end up taking the whole wheel off. It's what we call kind of like a pork chop. This is a double-sided, and what you'll do is, hopefully you can see, you'll put this on the lug nut, wrong side, like this, and you'll use the 13/16 square head socket on here, wedge this up against the wheel, however, like this, and you'll just spin. You'll spin this inner lug nut with the impact gun, and it'll just come off. You can take that off. It's like like this. The one I use is from Ken Tool. It actually has the 1.5" one and the 41mm for like Isuzu and some of the Hino box trucks and stuff like that. You can do both with that. Another thing to show you is the lug nuts do come in different sizes. You have a short, kind of like a medium long, and then you have a long one here. Depending, you know, if you're going steel to steel wheel, it's probably going to short one. If you're going steel to aluminum, you're either going to use the medium or long one. This one has more of a ET centering style end to it, mainly for aluminum wheels. Just a little quick tip too, sometimes these older ones, the actual beginning part of the thread on the inside of the lug nut might mess up just a tad bit, nothing big. If you can't replace it and it's just a tip, nothing it's gouged, I mean just a little bit, you can actually take the lug nut, put it on backwards, run it all the way in, and it will clean that little tip. You turn it around, you're good to go. Alright, so some of the tools we use today: 13/16 square end, the 1.5" socket. I showed you the tool to remove broken studs, the inner studs, and then we use the pork chop, double-sided pork chop here. Alright guys, here's a hub piloted wheel. So you can see the lug nut is totally different. We have a lug nut like this, lug nut with a washer on it. The actual hub, these tabs, center the wheel on. There are some that the tabs will get worn out and you'll need to have a lug nut like this with a little shaft on the end, ET style, that will go in between the, fill in the hole in between the wheel and kind of center it. So you'll put a few of those on the center of the wheel. But this is going to take a 33mm socket, and these 10 lug nuts hold both wheels on. And one thing to mention too, these are the lug nuts, this style lug nut, you're supposed to oil in between this crack here where the washer and the lug nut is. Just a drop of oil and that's it. Nothing on the actual stud.